The showdown for super middleweight supremacy has just taken a more serious turn as we get ready to look inside what transpires in this division and the bout that is going to be Caleb Plant taking on Saul Canelo Alvarez. Let's talk about it. On Saturday, November 6th, on Showtime pay-per-view, Canelo Alvarez will be taking on Caleb Plant for the undisputed middleweight championship. Canelo has all the other belts and is seeking to take the IBF title off of Sweet Hands Caleb Plant. Will he be able to do it? We're gonna find out. But today, September 21st, saw them kick off their presser and a fight broke out at the presser. Caleb slapped Canelo, Canelo punched him back, and they exchanged unpleasantries all throughout the rest of the press conference. And that was before the press conference began. They were facing off, and this is what it turned into. A lot of excitement and a lot of hype to get some fire lit under their upcoming match. Now, getting into the fight, this showdown is long overdue. Canelo Alvarez is finally going to try to go for undisputed for the third time, as a couple of other occasions he had an opportunity to become undisputed and he walked away from that opportunity. Some say due to who the person was that he had to lift the final titles from. Some say other reasons. But what we do know is Caleb Plant is the right man at the right time for this opportunity. Canelo enters this fight as the unified champion. He has the WBC, the WBA, and the WBO titles in his possession. With his record of 56, 1, and 2 draws with 38 KOs, Canelo has basically been at the top of the sport for the past few years. But is he the best in the sport? That remains to be seen. We haven't seen him finish off a circumstance where he could become undisputed and add to the legacy that he's built for himself. He seemingly has taken the easier route of defeating fighters that are actually second-tier guys, and they are not necessarily the threat that he has difficulty with. Well, in steps Mr. Sweet Hands, because he's the type of fighter that brings a fighter like Canelo all he can handle and everything that makes a fight difficult for him. Sweet Hands has pretty decent lateral movement, which spells oh no for Canelo's knees. Canelo has bad wheels, people, and people don't realize it because typically most of the fighters he's been taking on are not that mobile, not that agile, and have bad footwork. When you talk about Sergey Kovalev, Callum Smith, Anvil Yildirim, and Billy Joe Saunders, who was supposed to have better footwork, he still ended up becoming victimized by Canelo cutting his options down. That may not be the case with Sweet Hands. Caleb Plant is a fighter who can box, move, punch at the same time. He's slick, he's elusive, he knows how to counterpunch, and he's very good at working from distance as well as putting his punches together in combination. Now, the one thing that Caleb doesn't have is that seething punching power at the weight class. But that doesn't mean he can't get a knockout, because knockouts have to be set up. And when you have a solid boxer, that's what you'll see from that. His last few fights saw him take on the likes of Jose Uzcategui, Mike Lee, Vincent Feigenbutz, and Caleb Truex. His fight against Uzcategui was a very good fight that showed Caleb be able to put Uzcategui down in rounds 2 and round 4. He had a cut over his right eye from a headbutt in round 4, did Plant. But it was a very solid performance by him. When you talk about Canelo and his last few opponents, this is where things get a little bit questionable. Even when he took on Danny Jacobs, he did not look his best. Danny Jacobs seemed to realize late in the fight, oh, I should have taken more risk. And he tried to turn it up, but it was too little too late. Canelo had taken too many of the earlier rounds. Canelo is the type of guy who likes to try to figure his opponent out, close the distance on him by applying pressure, working the body, and looking to break the guy down physically and mentally. I do believe that Caleb Plant will be mentally strong for this fight, but his conditioning is going to have to be A1, because Canelo is going to look to get the body work in against him. But there is something that is a saving grace for Caleb, and I saw that when they faced off against each other at their presser today. Canelo, who is simply a short guy at 5'8" with a 70.5-inch reach, is going to go in against Plant, who is 6'1" with a 74-inch reach. That works in Plant's favor. He was actually looking down at Canelo at the presser. And what it tells me is that when he gets in there, he may be looking to give Canelo something to think about as he tries to negotiate the real estate in the ring. That means judging the distance by how close he can get to Caleb and how much Caleb is willing to make him pay for getting on the inside. This is why Caleb's conditioning is going to have to be A1. We know that Canelo and his conditioning will be up, because whether he's on something or not, he will be ready. And Caleb and his people have to be ready for that. Yes, I'll say it that way because everyone knows with the way he's gone up and down in weight across the divisions that Canelo Alvarez has had some assistance. And that's the one thing that I can't give him credit for, because he should have been punished a long time ago for using performance-enhancing drugs. Yes, he has tested positive, and there's no way around that. You have to acknowledge it. When he fought Sergey Kovalev, he came in looking like a silverback, okay? Wide as a brick wall, and he looked very formidable. And Canelo is not a big guy at all. He's a very small man. So we know that he's not going to have the advantage in hand speed. He's not going to have the advantage in foot speed. But where he will have the advantages are in high profile fights, pressure, under the lights, pressure in the ring. Canelo has been in situations before where he was behind on scorecards or losing a fight, and he found ways to break through. A lot of people felt like Billy Joe Saunders was defeating him before that fight came to an end. And it's definitely something to think about for Plant, who will be in his first extremely high-profile fight. It doesn't get any bigger than this. The stakes are about as high as they can get. When you're talking about for Undisputed, and you are one of the champions, and you have the last piece to the puzzle, you don't want to give that up very easily, okay? And it's something to think about. So, will Canelo be able to catch up to Plant? I think he will. But Plant is going to have to show diversity in fighting on the inside, being able to get his pound of flesh in to fight Canelo off of him, and also control the distance from the outside. It's not going to be a one-way thing. It could be a one-way thing if Plant possessed more punching power. But I'm telling you, he's going to find out, just like Billy Joe Saunders found out, that Canelo is not going to go anywhere. He's going to be right there in front of you. So you have to make him pay for being in front of you. But you don't have to be in front of him. And you don't have to allow those short arms to get to you when you know the only way he can do it is to be in close. Plant will have to be physical. He may need to pull down on Canelo's neck, tie him up really tight with deathlock grips until the referee separates them, and then put distance between himself and Alvarez all over again to make Alvarez reset. The one thing Canelo gets frustrated with is when you land shots and give an angle or step outside and he looks at you and he has to reset himself. He tries to give you that impression that he's calm. Well, he's supposed to. He's got a great poker face. And he's always got the judges in his pockets. So you do have to work at finishing up strong. You have to work at finishing rounds strong. That's the one thing that Canelo has in his favor that no one's going to be able to do anything about. The WBC and the officials governing over this fight will make sure that on at least one of these scorecards, he is going to be up by 8 rounds to 4 or 10 rounds to 2. So Caleb is going to have to work for his goods in this fight. We know this. We know how they operate. That's why he's got to be in the most supreme of condition. I'm going with an upset. Caleb Plant is going to rise to the occasion. Canelo Alvarez is going to drop a decision because he is going to be outfought. He's going to be outpunched. It may go the other way for Canelo, but I'm just going to ride with Plant on this one. I would like to see the gentleman have something great happen in his life. He's come from a hard background. He's had some tragedies and losses in his life, and it's time for him to have a breakthrough. As long as he's willing to work for it, it's there for the taking. This is Stormy B Man. Shout out to the LDBC, the Lions Den boxing community, and Liberated Perspective, a third eye view of the world. For more content such as this, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. This is all I have for you at this time. Please, everyone, remain safe. Take care of your family. Tune in for this great matchup because I do think it's going to be a barn burner of a fight. Until the next time we speak, peace to everyone.